Hello. The name of this channel is Jem Hayam on YouTube. And you can find this channel on YouTube by simply typing the symbol at and Jem Hayam, which is G as in give, E as in Edward, M as in Mary, H as in Harry, A as in apple, Y as in year, dash, U as in uncle, N as in Nancy. And you find this channel. And I'm going to ask you to subscribe to my channel if you want to hear more, if you want to be alerted when these videos are down or uploaded. But I have something, I have something to report today. I have been reporting it, but this may be the first time I actually made a video about it. People may not be ready to hear it, but it's something that we need to hear. Because when we hear and know what the truth of the word is, you know, if we have a heart for God, then we have to buckle down to whatever the truth is. Because if we don't do that, then we're, as Satan, exalting ourselves above the truth. So, now there is a spiritual law that says, can two walk together unless they be agreed? So that's called the law of agreements. And the way it works the same way as a self-fulfilling fallacy. I did a report on this before, and I'm surprised that it didn't get circulated. Maybe it was because people were taking advantage of people's lack of knowledge of this law. And that's actually why the devil is called the Prince of Darkness. He is the Prince of Ignorance. Where he's reigning in your life is the area where you are ignorant. He is the only ruler who rules by ignorance. So let me bring some light as to why there are so many of our people that think that it's okay to do a lot of wicked stuff. Because it goes back to the civil rights movement. Now, first I wanted to explain how the law of agreements works. Whatever you come into agreement with, you're giving spiritual legality for that to be produced in your life, to be made legal. It works for God. That's why he wants you to come into agreement with him. Because it gives him the legality to come into your life and make that which is impossible possible. Therefore, shifting atmospheres, even if you don't see it. Now, it works the same way with demons. If you come into agreement with lies, demon will come into agreement with you, and you're giving him legality to come in and make that possible in your life. So if he's giving you all these scare tactics and telling you all these things that he has no legality to do, what he wants is your agreement. They were using this to take advantage of a lot of people by making them think things were happening that didn't happen. And when they came into agreement with it, they it somehow manifested. Well, now you know that's how it. Now you know that's how it happens. So this is called expectation. It is your greatest superpower. If you don't use your greatest superpower for what God gave it to you, the adversary will use your greatest superpower against you. So how does this relate to 1964? We had the civil rights movement. And during that time, you know, a lot of our people were marching and they were wearing these signs that says, I am black. Now, God never changes. He says, in him there is light and there is no darkness at all. So what this sounds like in the spiritual realm, it sounds like saying, I am everything that is anti-God. Now, what if I am coming or attaching something to God's name? I am is taking the Lord's name in vain. So that breaks the third commandment, and they've come into agreement with something that God never said. This is why it's dangerous to change what God said. Because if you come into agreement with something that God didn't say, you're giving demons legality in your life or to produce that into reality. Because I am is the ultimate identity. You know, that's the tetragrammaton. I am that I am. So, because that's God's name. So whenever a person introduces themselves and says, I am, whatever their name, I'm JT, we're attaching our name to God's name. So even an atheist that doesn't believe, and if he introduces himself that way, he has to tell you God's name before he tells you his name. So what if taking the I am and combining that with something that God never spoke over your life is actually taking the Lord's name in vain and speaking a curse over your life. So when somebody says, I am stupid, then all of a sudden they seem to become stupid. Why? Because you have come into agreement with something that God didn't speak over your life, because only the Lord has the authority to speak finality over your life. So you can end up speaking a curse over your life. So what if when we did that in 1964, our whole people came into agreement with being everything anti-God, and the demons slowly showed up in our lives to make that into a reality? So that means that there may need to be a major repentance. So we may be defending something that is giving demons access to us. And that's why there is a teacher who used to teach the Bible. He says he doesn't identify by that. He identifies by, he says that people that are darker will have a rich skin, and people that are lighter have fair skin. Because when you attach yourself to a name, you are coming into agreement with spiritual things. Life is spiritual, and we just have to understand that. Okay. So I don't want to make this too long, but just want to make sure that there may need to be a major repentance for doing that, to give them no more legality. Stay tuned.